Tonight, you will lie down, close your eyes, and immediately start thinking about something you said in 2014. You will replay a conversation you had 3 weeks ago. You will solve a problem that does not need solving at 11 o'clock at night. And the harder you try to stop, the louder everything gets. You are not broken. But the real reason this happens is far stranger than you think. Your brain does not turn off when you try to sleep. It turns on. Not randomly, not by accident, but on purpose, running a process so old it predates language, predates fire, predates anything you would recognize as human civilization. And once you understand what that process actually is, you will never look at your racing thoughts the same way again. Here's where it starts. Your brain has a system called the default mode network. It was named by Marcus Rachel, a neuroscientist at Washington University, who discovered something strange in the early 2000s. When people were asked to do nothing, no task, no stimulus, just rest, their brains did not go quiet. Certain regions lit up with intense activity. The brain, it turned out, had a default setting, and that default setting was thinking about itself, about other people, about the past, about the future, about everything except the present moment. During the day, your default mode network gets suppressed. Every task you complete, every screen you stare at, every conversation you have, these activate what researchers call the task-positive network, which essentially competes with your default mode and keeps it quiet. You are distracted. You are busy. The thoughts are still there. They just cannot get through. Then night comes. The task ends. The screen goes dark. You lie down. And suddenly there is nothing competing with your default mode network anymore. It surges. Every thought that was waiting at the gate all day long rushes in at once. This is not a malfunction. This is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. Matthew Walker, a neuroscientist at the University of California, Berkeley, and author of extensive research on sleep, describes the sleeping brain as an overnight therapist. During the night, your brain is not resting. It is processing. It is sorting through the emotional charge attached to your memories, replaying events, tagging experiences for long-term storage, and trying to find patterns in everything that happened to you. The thinking you experience at the edge of sleep is not random noise. It is the beginning of that process starting up before you have fully let go of the day. Your ancestors had a version of this too, but it worked differently for them. Picture your brain 100,000 years ago. You've spent the day foraging, moving, watching for predators, managing your relationships in a group of roughly 150 people. Every single one of those things carries potential threat or potential reward. At night, when you finally stop moving, your brain does not shut off. It reviews. It replays the moment you almost stepped on a snake. It rehearses what you will say to the dominant member of your group tomorrow. It runs through the face of someone who looked at you strangely, not because it is anxious, because this is how survival works. The brain that went quiet at night was the brain that got eaten. Rumination is ancient. Overthinking is ancient. The worry loop you run at midnight about something embarrassing you did last Tuesday is the exact same cognitive machinery your ancestors used to replay a near-death encounter and make sure they never made the same mistake again. The content has changed. The mechanism has not. But here's where it gets strange, because modern humans have added something to this system that was never part of the original design. Sonia Lupien, a stress researcher at the University of Montreal, has spent decades studying the cortisol system, the hormone that signals threat to your brain. She found that cortisol follows a predictable daily rhythm. It peaks in the morning, drops across the day, and should be near its lowest point at night. But in modern humans, that rhythm is frequently disrupted. Artificial light at night delays the cortisol drop. A phone notification triggers a small cortisol spike. Checking your email one more time keeps the threat detection system online hours past when it should have gone quiet. You're trying to fall asleep while your brain's alarm system is still blinking, and then there's the trap. The moment you notice that you cannot stop thinking, something shifts. You start thinking about the fact that you cannot stop thinking. You monitor your own sleep. You calculate how many hours you have left if you fall asleep right now. You try to force your brain to be quiet, and every single one of those things makes it worse. This is called the ironic process theory, first described by Daniel Wegner at Harvard. He ran a simple experiment. He told people not to think about a white bear. Just don't think about it. And of course, they could not stop thinking about it. Every effort to suppress a thought requires the brain to first generate the thought to check whether you are still thinking it. The suppression mechanism contains the thing it is trying to suppress. The harder you try not to think, the more your brain thinks. This is why counting sheep does not work. This is why telling yourself to relax does not work. Your brain interprets any direct attempt at control as a signal that something important is happening, which is exactly the signal that keeps it awake. What does work, according to sleep researcher Allison Harvey at UC Berkeley, is something almost counterintuitive. Scheduled worry time. Not suppression, not distraction. but deliberately setting aside 15 minutes earlier in the evening to write down every unresolved thought, every loop, every worry. Externalizing the contents of your default mode network onto paper removes the brain's obligation to keep cycling through them. It marks them as acknowledged, processed, safely stored somewhere else. Your brain is not trying to torture you at night. It is trying to make sure nothing important gets forgotten. The list tells it. Nothing was forgotten. There's something else happening in those quiet moments before sleep that almost no one talks about. It is called hypnagogia, the threshold state between wakefulness and sleep. In this state, your brain begins producing imagery and thoughts that feel almost hallucinatory. Fragments of faces, words that make no sense, sudden jolts, brief flashes of scenes that could not have happened. Artists and scientists have long known this state is unusual. Thomas Edison reportedly slept in a chair holding steel balls in each hand, so that when he drifted off, the balls would drop and wake him and he could capture whatever image was forming at the edge of sleep. Salvador Dali used the same technique. They were not trying to rest. They were trying to harvest the default mode network at its most unconstrained when logic loosens and pattern recognition runs wild. The thinking you are doing right before sleep is not your worst thinking. It might be your most creative thinking. It is just happening at the wrong time. Your brain is not an on-off switch. It is a tide. During the day, the task-positive tide comes in and covers the default mode. At night, the tide goes out. What you see on the shore is everything the water was carrying all day, the worries, the replays, the unresolved conversations, the strange images at the edge of consciousness. You cannot stop the tide, but you can learn to read what it leaves behind. Tonight, when your thoughts start racing, try something different. Do not fight them. Do not label them as a problem. Recognize what they actually are. A brain running its oldest, most essential program. A mind doing its job. A system built over hundreds of thousands of years to review the day, protect you from tomorrow's threats, and make sure nothing important slips away in the dark. The thoughts are not keeping you awake. They are keeping you alive. Tonight, when the light goes off and your mind refuses to follow, you will know exactly what is happening, and you will understand why the brain that learned to be quiet in the dark was the one that did not wake up at all.